Undi18, Sarawakian young voters' knowledge and interest in political participation. As stated by Ngah and Muhammad, a country cannot be called a democracy if its citizens are not actively involved in the political process. The presentation outline consists of 10 points, beginning with an introduction, following by Undi18, Sarawakian youth, awareness and engagement in voting. Next, the study. In this presentation, we will delve into the results of the study, which is knowledge about Undi18, attitude towards Undi18, political participation practices, and intention to vote. 9. Discussion. And lastly, conclusion. For a democratic country like Malaysia, political literacy among citizens is necessary to nurture a culture of debate and accountability. Politically literate citizens are able to examine political information, comprehend it from various points of view, and recognize propaganda or political manipulation. Moreover, political literacy is an important skill for citizens to participate in the governance of the country with a democratic framework. In Malaysia, the Undi18 implementation on 15 December 2021 can be seen as a move to increase political participation among youth. To facilitate voting among the youth, automatic voter registration (AVR) was also implemented. However, there are concerns that youth are not informed about politics to make good decisions when they vote. They are also concerned that youth are not able to distinguish truth from propaganda and fake news in social media content on politics. Since the Undi18 implementation, there has been a federal election in 2022 and the 12th Sarawak state election on 18 December 2021. Thus far, there has been one study about Undi18 awareness among Sarawakian youth by law. Other than this, there is a lack of baseline information on the state of knowledge and interest in political participation among Sarawakian youth in the early years of Undi18 implementation. This study examined Sarawakian young voters' knowledge and interest in political participation. The study involved 41 respondents aged 18 to 21 living in Sarawak, Malaysia. There were slightly more female and respondent aged 21. A questionnaire was formulated based on Batul and Jabin's framework of knowledge, attitude, practice, KAP. Now let's take a look at the results. This study indicates generally good knowledge about Undi18 among the respondents, except for less known about election candidate requirements. Most of respondents' knowledge about politics are obtained from school. This illustrates that political education in school plays a role in shaping young voters' understanding of political issues. About 1/5 to 1/3 of the respondents did not know about do's and don'ts of what electoral candidates and voters could do. The issue is perhaps not whether politicians can or cannot give money to voters, but rather they know that it is being done. Next, the study also reveals a positive attitude among Sarawakian young voters toward voting and political engagement. The respondents believe in the necessity of voting. Moreover, they also express enthusiasm for increased youth participation in elections. Also, show a sense of responsibility towards their civic duties as citizens to choose their political leaders. There is a positive perception regarding the relevance of political education in secondary school. Many respondents recognize the importance of this subject in shaping informed citizens. In contrast, this study uncovers low levels of political participation practices among Sarawakian young voters. Although the respondents slightly agree that they were willing to return to hometown to vote, there is a lack of involvement in other political activities, whether direct or indirect. Young voters may value the act of voting itself, but they might not feel represented by existing political organizations. It seems that there is a disconnect between young individuals and active form of political expression, which could hinder their ability to influence societal change and advocate for their beliefs. Interestingly, this study indicates a promising outlook for future electoral participation among Sarawakian young voters. Moving on, the study on Sarawakian young voters' knowledge and interest in political participation yielded 3 interesting results. First, this study succeeded in differentiating between the types of knowledge. The respondents have a good knowledge of their right to vote, similar to young voters in Penang who have a political awareness of Undi18. However, our study reveals that the respondents actually are not well informed about the ethics of elections. Second, the positive attitudes toward Undi18 among youth is discussed, particularly the good receptivity towards political education in secondary school. Although there are concerns of bringing politics into the school, however, teachers are qualified to teach politics as long as they follow the established guidelines as reported by Muhammad. Lastly, there is a low engagement in political activities among the respondents apart from voting. This raised alarming questions about the lack of a connection among youth to the political system and their willingness to engage beyond just casting their votes. Hence, this lack of engagement could have a long-term implication for the future of democracy in our country. In conclusions, the study has revealed that positive attitudes towards Undi18 may not be backed by sound knowledge of the political milieu to make good voting decisions, and positive attitude may not translate to active political participation aside from voting on election day. Although the sample size is small, the findings confirm other studies about young voters' knowledge, attitudes, and practices in Malaysia, although these were not specifically about Undi18. The findings have practical implications on voter education. It is vital for political parties and organizations to reassess their strategies for engaging young voters by developing more relatable and inclusive campaign environments that address youth concerns. Besides better education and information campaign, the authorities should raise awareness about money politics among young voters as well. Better education and information campaign are needed to ensure the young voters can actively and responsibly participate in the democratic process in Malaysia. This is because when young voters are informed and participate actively in the democratic process, it ultimately strengthens Malaysia's political system. These strategies eventually fostering a more informed electorate that actively participates in shaping an accountable and transparent political landscape. That's all from me, Elvydina Barnad. Thank you for listening.